Welcome to the Kinkazoid Podcast, where you get some education on your form of stimulation. With your hosts, Royal, Chase, and Trey Proper. Buckle your seatbelts because it's going to be a wild ride. Let's get kinky.
Welcome. Greetings and salutations to another great episode of Kinkazoid. We're here to present you guys with a lot of information tonight, so I hope you're tuned in, got your notepad, you're ready to write some stuff down, ready to get to it. So, first things first, it's your boy Trey Proper. You know who I am. If you will, go ahead and introduce yourself, my lovely co-host.
Okay, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Royal. No tagline necessary. Just recognize she's a queen.
What's going on, you guys? It's your girl Chase. See, Hayes. Doesn't matter how you say it, as long as that flavor stays in your mouth.
And we have a very, very, very special guest joining us tonight. That's going to drop some information on us. Ma'am, if you will, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Samantha Odoyale. Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here.
We appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get right into it. We have her here today because if you've been paying attention to the show, we've had a switch on, we've had a dom on, and now we have a professional sub in Miss Samantha here, and she's going to edify and educate us on the subspace. Some of us may identify as that, but it's always good to get a professional opinion about it. We're going to start where we usually start with our toy of the week. And the Love Hammond vibrator.
The Love Hammond vibrator. So I believe it was Crazy or Craze who dropped this in the Discord, and who dropped this in the Discord this past week. The Love Hammer. You get to use all the compartments of the Love Hammer. The handle is used as a vibrating dildo. The back piece of the hammer, I don't know what you would call the part that takes out the nail, can be used as if like it's a rabbit on your clitoris, like a butterfly. And then they have like the palm part that you could just put flat on your clitoris and has different controls, different vibrations and wavelengths. There was also a Facebook link that went with it, and the person who purchased it had the most disgusting nails known to man. So nobody was even talking about the toy.
That's why I didn't remember this, because I'm still thinking about them dirty nails.
Talking about disgusting this person's hands were. So yes, so that just goes to show that you cannot like have dirty nails when you're gonna, purchase something and then post a picture about it, because I want to play with you if your nails look like that. That's gross.
So focusing on the toy itself, would you ladies utilize this toy at all? Does it seem like something you would have fun with?
It's a no for me, dog. And the only reason I say that is because like I just can't get past the it just seems ridiculous to me. Like I can't get past the shape of it all. Like if I'm going to use a hammer, it's going to be like to nail something in my house. Like I'm doing some type of home improvement, hanging a picture, something like that. That is the use of a hammer for me in my mind. I don't see myself hammering anything below the belt. Okay, so I just can't get with it. It was just like, and then it's pink, and I can't. I just can't.
But you identify as a sub, so if your dom broke it out on you,
I mean, I might give him a side eye, but I'm gonna do it.
As long as his nails is clean.
Facts. Listen.
Right.
Y'all know that from our last episode that hygiene is important. Okay, it's important.
Key to everything.
Yeah.
Chase.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I here? Am I good?
Yeah. No, I don't know if you had heard me ask, but I was asking about the hammer. If you would you participate with it? Would you use it? Would it be added to your repertoire?
I personally like toys that have a clean side, if you will, if that makes sense. So usually when it comes to toys, like, the handle or the end of it is usually the quote unquote safe part. Like it's like the part that you're going to use the most with your hand. You're not going to have to worry about other stuff getting on it. I kind of don't want to go from insertion to then holding it with juices all in my hand and it's slipping and it's just all in my hand. Then it's getting dry, and then because I'm playing with my clit, it's just like it's too much. So if I'm gonna use something, I would rather have something that has like a dry end to it, so that way we can flip it around and reverse it without going like. Dry nut ain't probably the best nut on there,
Nah.
Yeah.
Dry nut.
Yeah.
Samantha.
I'm going to say no. I'm not a fan of toys per se, because I'm a toy and I feel like you don't need it. You don't need that. I'm just, being a submissive, you do have a say so, and that comes with, getting to know the dom, getting to know you, and you getting to know the dom. And I make it very clear that toys are not necessary. This is a size 14 toy for you. You don't need that.
Oh, if I could go back in time and be a 14, if I could be a 14 again, Lord.
Listen, I am actively working my way back to it. Okay, I'm like a couple dress sizes away. I am almost.
I will be a problem in these streets if I was a 14. I'll be flipping and stopping in any space I could find. Okay.
Listen, oh my goodness.
Okay. All right. Well, hey. It's not for everybody.
Let me turn the question around on you, Mr. Proper. Would you be interested in hammering that thing?
I would add it to my repertoire. I would use it because I'm also very goofy. I'm very, I like to have fun, and I think that would be funny after like round 2, reaching into my bag of tricks and being like, it's hammer time. I'm corny like that. I would do that because I want my partner to have fun. I want her to be
It's
loose and
hammer time. Oh
Right,
my
it's hammer
gosh.
time.
I'm corny like
I'm
that.
sitting up
I'm
there
corny
like,
like
listen, if you pull out a hammer on me looking like Bob the Builder, that's gonna be a whole problem for me.
Listen,
But
what
of
I think would be
course,
funny is if like the handle part was in me and then you put your hand there and was like Milner and then like Thor and then
yes.
I pushed it out and it just came into your hand.
Why are
That
you
would
giving
be
him ideas?
the best.
You're like
Yes.
straight up giving him ideas.
That would be the best. I would love that. Like I'd be like, do it. I'm like, babe, do it. He'd be like this. I'm like, it'd be an amazing time. It'd be an amazing time.
Lord.
I would, but yeah, that's perfect. I would be goofy like that, and I want to get that laugh out of her. I want her to enjoy herself. I'm a soft dom. I'm not super serious, demanding stuff like that. I can be, but that's not where I go. Checking out the comments on YouTube. Irene the Passion Queen. Hey Samantha. Hey Chase.
Hi,
Hey Royal.
boo.
Hey Trey. What's going on? Good to see you. Corey says, what happened to the blonde hair Chase? Okay, and Weekend Herb is in the chat.
We got to switch it up, okay? Switch the hair up. Don't you gotta keep them guessing.
And Herb also, he's coming for you today, Chase. He says, stop lying, you like holding it. In Genocide Circus, you should get the toy and then role play as Fix It Felix. That way your dom can be Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh my
Oh
Jesus.
boy, jeez Louise, guys.
cannot.
Hey, it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna get right into the good stuff. All right, so usually we do a sexual position this week, every other week, and but this one we're going to change it up a little bit since we are going to be focusing on subplay and sub dynamics. Our sexual position is going to be kneeling. That is presented by our lovely guest, Miss Samantha, if you will.
Hi. So is this where I insert my favorite?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. So just to preface it though, like, kneeling for me, I consider it worship. I consider it worship and I consider it body art. So, I like to play on it, and I do have a favorite kneeling position, and that is complete submission. And I think there's an example of that somewhere, but complete submission for me, and I always like to tell people, do not take it lightly, because you have to unequivocally trust the dom, because if you do not, you are not able to see, you are not able to do anything like that. Like you are just that's what it is. It's you're completely submitting. And so for some of us, there's trauma behind submission anyway, and then we have trauma related to trust. So this is definitely a trust move. You only want to do it if you are completely in 100% trust, and it's easy. I think with this position, it looks kind of like downward dog, but your ass is up, and your palms, you kind of make it look like your hips are open, and then your palms are always down. And that's something that I do want to stress with kneeling, is your palms are always down. That is a submissive position, just having palms down. They could even, and in this position, you obviously ready yourself by breathing. You breathe controlled breaths, because it is nerve-wracking. And then, you just body art the shit, and you just start very slowly, because you are on your knees. Again, it looks like downward dog, but your ass is up and your hips are wide. Right. And then you go all the way down, and your forehead is on the floor. Like your forehead touches the ground, and your palms are down. So
what's funny is this looks a lot like because I'm not gonna say I practice yoga, I just do yoga because it's it's good for you. So it looks a lot like child's pose. It's not not necessarily downward dog, but it looks like child's pose, because with child's pose you're on your knees, and like you can it's like if you extend it, you press your hips out, because it's actually a really good hip stretch too.
It is.
Yeah. And then you have your forehead on the floor, your palms are down, so it's similar to that then.
So if if you are differently abled and you're not able to do that, it's a good place to be, and a good lane to stay in for any position, because there are literally about 10 to 12 positions. The best position to be in is your head down. You can use a pillow to prop on, to have your knees under, or a chair. I coach submissives and I tell them you can sit in a chair with permission from your dom. Sit in a chair. Your head is going to do the submitting. Your head is down. Your hands, your palms are still on your knees. So you're sitting, and that's still a very beautiful body art thing to do. Your
Mhm.
head is always going to be down. You are never going to look up until you're asked to look up, and your palms are on your knees. It's just that simple. That could be
Sounds
your
like a
complete.
great position for people who don't have knees, as I don't have knees. The cartilage is gone, y'all.
That's okay.
But it's okay. Sitting down, I feel like would make the ease, and
Mhm.
I'm also facing what I love the most.
Absolutely.
So, make it, easy access. We like to
Hmm.
say.
I do have a question about the poses and everything as far as kneeling. Suppose, and you did mention differently able people. Suppose you have somebody, suppose you have a sub, and do you have anything in particular that would help with someone who has pain in the lower back? Position that would either alleviate or make sure they don't feel that pain. Would that help with that, or is there another kneeling pose that will contribute to that?
So okay. So I had breast cancer surgery. So there at some point I wasn't able to be on my chest,
Mhm.
but I was able to lay flat. So another pose would be if your back is some people find comfort laying flat on the back when they have back
Mhm.
issues, and then you could use a pillow to prop up wherever you need it on the back. But
Mhm.
Okay.
that looks very different. Obviously you can't have your head down, but your eyes are closed. So
Mhm.
you're really just trying to simulate giving this person complete access to you, and
Mhm.
for you to not look threatening. Like that's the thing, not to look threatening. So if it feels comfortable for you to lay flat, I would either, you could ask the dom. Me personally, I would put my arms to my side. Like
Okay.
I would put my arms to my side always, and then just lay flat on my back, and prop
Okay.
up with the pillow. I really appreciate, dominants that pay attention to your limitations and honor those.
Mhm.
And honoring your body is important. That's your job. Your job is to honor your
Mhm.
body. And then
Right.
their job is to pick up where you left off. And that's it. I really just appreciate a dom that is not like, oh no, I would never service a dominant that didn't understand my restrictions, like things
Yeah.
that is not honoring. And all this is worship. And how can you be worshiped, and how can you worship if the person isn't honoring your physical limitations? So
Facts.
that's my suggestion for a
Yeah.
back issue. Or if sitting down is appropriate, whatever looks good. But definitely the use of pillows. I have tons of pillows that have helped me. I can put them in front of my chest or put them, behind my back. So pillows work.
Okay. All
I love
right.
that you said that. I wouldn't know in the middle of my blip, my Nightcrawler move. I popped from one screen to another. If you had, if you had
That's your
talked
second blurred
about,
reference of the night. I just want to let y'all
it's,
know that.
guys, I
I,
don't talk about it a lot, but I do. I am into it. Like it's just one of those people you have to talk about it with me for me to speak about it. So one of those things.
Okay.
But but anyway, I didn't know if you had went into the in depths about how you. I know that when we spoke on the phone that you were saying how spiritually and like, mentally and emotionally it can connect you to your dominant and like building that relationship. Can you kind of talk on that and like when you're teaching people, because I know that you teach submissives on how to be a better submissive, or just people in general who don't know anything about being submissive but want to get into it, what are some of the steps, or what are the things that you tell them to do to in order to have that deeper connection with them and not make it just so sexual?
So my very first dom, we did not have a sexual relationship. We are still very close friends to this day. Like he was one of my hand holders when I was going through the worst time of my life. And he's married and has a wife, and she is really a really good friend of mine. So I really think, vetting is so important. I say this all the time. Like vetting is so important. And if you immerse yourself into my life, because I am a spiritual person, because I am big on energy exchange, I'm trying to, kind of explain the process with me is that I need for them to get to know me, date me, like just date me, put
Mhm.
yourself in, I need to be vulnerable. I need to be willing to tell you about all of the things that have happened to me that make me Samantha. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to listen to you. I need to know what makes you sad, because people forget that doms are vulnerable as well. Like, what makes you sad? How, I need to listen to understand when we have a disagreement instead of listening to rebuttal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we build trust in that way. I think something that we did mention before, yoga. I saw so many couples taking yoga classes together. And when I did it with somebody, I was like, this is so intimate. Like, it's so intimate. Like, we breathe together. We talk about uncomfortable things. And, being in a submissive position, you know, I always ask potential doms, why you? Like, why you? Why would I want to service you? That is my question to every single dominant that has ever wanted to pursue me. Why you? I need to know why. I need to know if you know why, because that's important. I need to know where your head is. I need to know how you think. I need to know if you feel worthy, because sometimes doms don't feel worthy. They don't feel like they deserve this service. And
Mm.
so I think it comes down to really having uncomfortable conversations, um, of depth. And for me, that has worked. You wanting me is not uncommon. Me wanting to submit is not uncommon. I need it like air. But me endeavoring to get to know all the parts of you. Like, I want to be the passenger in the car next to you, like, metaphorically. I want to sit and go on a journey with you. And I can't do that if we're not both vulnerable. Like, I can't do it. I can't submit to you if you are not vulnerable. So I require that. And I think that develops the relationship, just basically getting to know a person, their depth, and sometimes removing sex helps,
Hmm.
because now, do you like this person? Like, do you like this person? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's important. Like, that's why I always ask, why you? Like, I need to know why. Why you? Because that's I see myself as an altar and an offering. So why you?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
This sounds like a lot of the toxic, what do you bring to the table? Why should
yeah.
I pick you to come to the table? That
And
sounds
I
like,
tell people all the time, I am the damn table. I'm the fucking table. How you gonna ask a table what they bring to the table? I'm the table.
you gonna ask it? Come
You gonna ask
on,
me
La
that? Like,
Mesa.
I'm the table. I don't, but I realize too that, I'm pansexual. So, I'm speaking to people that are, that have, no preference at all, or prefer, women that prefer men, or men that prefer women, or whatever the case may be. I'm speaking to everybody. Like, you know, there is a such thing as toxic femininity. And so a lot of
Mm-hmm.
doms are used to toxic femininity. That's not a conversation that we want to ever have, because we're
Yeah.
always focused on toxic masculinity. We're not ready
Mm-hmm.
to hear that there's toxic femininity out there.
The
So,
pick-me's. That's who we
Those
call the
are the
pick-me's.
picnics.
Those
yep.
are the
So
pick-me's.
I am
Charlie, I
very
swear to God, I'm
aware
put them
that,
glasses away.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
very aware that I have to get past that with a dom. Like, I have to show myself worthy of that dom as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I talk about me being the altar and the offering, but I am also aware that I have to, make up sometimes for all the toxic femininity that they've encountered, not only as a dom but as a man in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it happens. It's a real thing.
Definitely. I hate a pick me. I hate, and if you guys don't know what a pick me is, it's like they're just hoping and choosing to be recognized that they're different from your average woman. They don't
Right.
think like your average woman. Oh, well, I don't like deal with all makeup and fancy clothes. I can be in
Right.
sweatpants and I can hang out
Mm-hmm.
the boys, and I know basketball and football lingo, as if like women wouldn't know that stuff if that's something that they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's they make it so that the boys will always want to be around them and always
Hmm.
want to give them some form of attention, when
Yep.
it's just kind of like, girl, if you want it, just have it. Like, it's okay. You don't have to like sit here and like, oh, you guys take 3 hours to put on makeup. That's crazy. Like, I don't even need that. Well,
Right.
good thing. Good. You
Good
you
job.
you
Right.
you clear
Yeah.
skin heifer. Do what you need to do. And live your life. Some of us need it because some of us got, just hyperpigmentation. Some of us has
Right.
got yellow and darker spots and certain. Mind your business, and
Right.
even if you do and you don't feel like you need it because you love yourself, Oh, hey, I love myself too, but I love myself more.
Right.
But I got a little coverage going.
True.
Oh, Deucer, check the chat on YouTube. On YouTube. Sorry.
But yeah. So, oh yeah, y'all can block him. But yeah. So also, so when speaking of, like, I know that you're saying that you do teach them. How long have you been teaching women how to be, or women or men to be submissive? And I know that you said that you just started recently doing couples to have submissive and dom relationships, and give us any entails of, like, how would a person even know how to look that up and get classes, I guess, or private sessions on how to start that. Yeah,
I started doing this maybe about 3 years ago, and I always, make it a very intimate kind of thing. I do not like taking on more than 5 people. 5 is my limit because it's exhausting. And I don't know. I'm sure people do this all the time. It came out of me hosting different online events and in-person events, and people were like, I just want to, how do I get involved in, how do I learn, like, teach me. Like, even on my TikTok page, people are like, oh sis, teach me. And I'm like, you have to be very careful who you learn things from, period. Like, I don't follow just anybody. And you want to, you need to make sure that it's legitimate, and that, this person ain't gonna make you look stupid at the end of the day. And then they have their, your best interest at heart. So I did it because I was trained by an amazing dominant who used to be a submissive. So, I was like, gosh, this was transformative for me. Like, I learned so much about myself, and, I've always been naturally submissive. And I was like, I could impart some wisdom on folks that want to kind of learn a little bit, because it looks different. Like, submission for people of color looks very different than submission for someone that is not a person of color. And I stand beside that. I'm gonna stick beside it. It looks different. And so it's really, for me, it has been a blessing to do. I have watched people literally transform their whole lives, and I have had a little small part in it. And it makes me emotional, because I'm seeing people that have been victims of, like, rape, sorry, trigger warning, or, like, people that have, just have not felt like they were powerful. Like, I've watched them grow into a powerful person, and it was already there. And they were, they had, all these preconceived notions about what submission looks like. And so, helping them has been a joy to me. And I learn a little bit every day. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. And I've been a sub for 10 and a half years, So I think that, for me, I'm kind of at a capacity with coaching, but I would always tell people to, go to munches, go to, listen to podcasts, like, just take your time. This is not like, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, take your time and learn, because, you might find, that you're not a submissive at all. I had a person I was coaching, and they were like, no, I'm not a submissive at all. Like, after we started getting into it, they were like, I'm actually a dom, which makes sense. Now you've learned the ins and outs of submission. You can be a much more well-rounded dominant.
Okay. Honestly, because I've always been a dominant individual myself, and just I've in the kink space, I should say, I have never dabbled in it, but a conversation we had with the person that introduced us to you, it made me think, like, maybe I should look into well, I don't know if it's the right way to say it, but becoming a submissive to a dom, to learn more about how I should participate. Because I'll never say, oh, I'm an expert, I know everything. No, I'm new to it, but I know how I feel. So maybe how I feel isn't always the right way to go about it, but I'm willing to learn, if anything, if it improves me and the experience that I generate. So
I think we're all supposed to be consistent, constantly learning, I guess I should say. Because, none of us know, like you said, none of us know everything. And so it's pretty much like we have to learn, what makes the dom tick, and for doms, and you have to learn what makes your sub tick. Like, they're different. I guess there are nuances to each role that we have to understand, because if we're not doing that, then I feel like it can make for an unhealthy relationship.
Thanks.
How would a person, I guess, know, like, this is kind of how I feel, this is who I am, maybe I'm the sub, maybe I'm a dom, maybe I'm a switch. I don't even know, because sometimes I can put a person in check real quick. You know what I'm saying? But other times I can also submit to a person. You know, like for me, you ain't gonna punk me, but to the right person, I'm like, yes, okay, sorry. Like, you know, it just depends on the energy that you give out. You know, because I'm the type of person you always. If I feel like if you're a match of energy type of person, then you're a switch definitely. If you're gonna match that type of energy, you know. So how would a person, I guess, configure? I think this is the category. I mean, because I know that you just said that people can end up saying like, you know what, I'm not even a sub. I'm really a dom. Like I really feel it, you know. So how does a person figure out what category they fit into? Because I know there's a lot of different forms of submissives. There's a lot of different forms of doms. You know, how do you know what category you would really fit into?
Yep. For me, for me personally, I've always just been a natural submissive. My father, it was extremely protective, and I
Mm-hmm.
thrive in softness. Like I just thrive in it. I love it. I love being soft. I love it. It's just, it does something for me. And I tell people it's this silly quiz that people take. I don't know if you're familiar. It's called Test the Kink Out of You. Everybody takes
No,
that thing.
The
I haven't taken that
BDSM
one.
They
test.
really need
What?
to. They
Oh.
need to upgrade
Someone.
it. They need to upgrade that. But I think it. Looking at going to certain events, because that's what one of the subs that I coach talked about, like watching people, watching your favorite submissive, watching your favorite dom, how they behave, what they're, what do they, how do they dress, how does their energy feel. I think that you can kind of get an idea that way. I know a friend of mine, I did an event with, Tamani, and him and I hosted, I invited him on this event, and people were in the chat saying, God, I never even knew what a primal switch was. I absolutely identify with a primal switch. And then I had a little on the show, and they were like, one young lady was like, this is me. Like, I like to behave in an age that is not my age. And that makes me feel, really, really good. So I think it is a matter of a mix of your own personality and where your alter ego might take you. Like where does, because like what does this look like when you're uninhibited? Like how do you feel when you're uninhibited? What's that energy look like? So I think it's kind of getting to know what kinks are, what fetishes are, like really, because there's a difference between a kink and a fetish. I think getting to
Definitely.
know all of these things, like what is age play, what is cuckolding, what is, all these different things, like getting really knowing the terminology that comes along with this community. And if you can read about these things, you can kind of say, okay, maybe I'm down with that. And I think it starts there, just getting to know. Don't watch 50 Shades of Grey, but getting to know all of the terminology that comes along with this community, so you can see where you fit in, where you hover over.
Yeah. 'Cause I think when it came to like being submissive, I didn't know what being a brat was. I didn't know whatever. I just know that, I talk back if I need to, and that's just what it is. And I think, like you said, growing up, like you start just noticing little things. I saw that eye roll track. You start noticing little things, whatever. You start noticing little things about yourself. And I've always noticed since I was young, I like an aggressive presence. I like a person who can take charge and do things that I don't have to really inquire or keep asking you to do. You kind of just do it, and once it's done, I'm like, I bet, like, do that, daddy. I ain't gotta worry about it. Okay, that's the kind of things that I've noticed that I like. But also, like you said, like when someone brings up something else, you don't realize that that's something you're into. Like when we had Tamani on the show, and he's talking about being primal. I've always had a little thing for like, somebody. I think that's why some women, like when a male has a very deep voice, because they like that baritone, that growl that comes with it and everything. And so I've always liked having like a growl in my ear and stuff like that. So it didn't resonate to me until we were talking about it. I was like, so that's why the teeth thing. That's why when I was younger in high school, being a little fast, when my ex got his teeth sharpened, he would bite me. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And I didn't know that that's being primal. Like, obviously, I'm going to say everything is a joke, but that's literally me recognizing that I've been into primal since I was younger, but didn't know what that meant. Did not know the wording of it until, you start doing things like this and watching Kinkazoid every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
like you guys should. Yeah.
Yep, that's
They
right.
go
That's
that
the plug. That's
advertisement.
the plug.
Yeah.
You are right. You are right. You can promote at the drop of a hat. Like
I
it
do.
just
I
comes out
do.
of nowhere. You
She's a
do.
They
That's
beast.
do.
true,
She's
though.
a beast.
It
Definitely, you need
is.
to know all the verbiage in this community because it's expansive. There's a lot of it. And you wouldn't know what it looks or feels like unless you watch Kinkazoid or,
Mhm.
have
Follow Miss Goddess.
conversations with people, but you have to know, like instead of, skimming over the community and just seeing a sub and a dom and then thinking that you fall into just those two boxes, if you really got to know all of the facets of this community, like all of the terminology, start there. And that's free information because you can find
Yeah.
that anywhere. And then once you
Mhm.
start looking at it, hover over every single one of them. Don't just hover over it when you are feeling uninhibited and then
Right.
see what feels good.
Okay. So earlier you spoke about training couples. How do you vet couples? Like basically my real question is, what kind of couples won't you teach?
I will not teach couples that are unhealthy.
Mhm.
If I know that one or the other, because we did talk about toxic femininity and toxic masculinity, if one or the
Mhm.
other speaks to whatever in a way that is making me uncomfortable, it's a no for me.
Mhm.
They have to be healthy. I always ask if they are open to therapy because what I do is similar to therapy. So I need to
Mhm.
know how open you are to learning your partner, what's going on. I will not take on a couple that is having issues, internal issues, and they're fetishing the life because they're trying to avoid something else that they're not dealing with in their relationship. I won't do
Mhm.
that. Like I'm not going to put my energy into that. If you are healthy and you are trying to understand each other better and you want to learn and grow together, and this is not something that you are looking at as a pacifier for a major issue in your relationship, because I do ask. I have dabbled in social work, so I do use that because this community you have to be extremely emotionally as possible, emotionally healthy, because you can
Mhm.
hurt somebody, and hurt people. And so
Facts.
I just
Mhm.
really try to work with people that are on a healing journey. You do not have to come healed. You just got to be healing. Like that's it.
Mhm.
I know why I got involved in BDSM, and 98% of it is because it is healing for me. So, you ain't got to come healed, but you got to be healing, and it needs to be healthy. Like, we're going to talk about everything. Like, I'm going to coach you to everything. Everything I know, I'm going to share with you, and we're on the journey together. I can't take the journey with unhealthy people.
Hmm. Okay.
We always
It's
hear
a really good
about.
philosophy.
You said what?
I was just saying, I think that's a really good philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurt people do hurt people and stuff.
Hurt people do hurt people.
Mhm. I was gonna ask. I know that we've heard it from probably more so dominant standpoints of the unfortunate side of having a DS relationship where it does have to come to an end, if it does come to an end because someone saw something else, somebody wants something different. There's something going on. From a submissive side, and saying that you do have an ex dom and things like that. um what are some of the procedures or steps to have a proper dismissal in your contract?
Yes. And also some people don't have contracts, like, which is something to mention, because, part of my coaching is, if you do have a contract, I want to go over it with you. As a sub, I need to make sure that it looks okay. Like, it's healthy. Are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about that? But the dismissal is emotional. If you've had a relationship that was, you know, mutually beneficial, it is devastating. For me, and for some it's just a all right then, see you. But if you really have that bond that we talked about earlier and that connection, it is devastating. And my very first dom, I said, is my one of my really good friends, and he will come to my, he's probably watching right now, hi boo. And like, he will come to my aid if I called him in the middle of the night. And so the dismissal was horrible. I cried for days, but it was mutual. And I think we sat down, it was healthy. I talked about what I wanted. I wanted to be married. I want to be a wife. I've never been married. I want to be a submissive wife. And I said that to him, and at the time, that's not where he was. And that was it for me, because you can only go so far.
Right.
If my end game is to be a wife and you were not with that at the time, that was where it ended. So he cried, I cried, it was awful. And he did try to circle the block. If he's watching, you try to circle the block. But but he tried to circle the block. But at that time, I wasn't ready. I was like, I'm fresh on the streets right now. Like, the streets were calling me, and I'm trying to see what my options are. And so if it's done right, it will be emotional. And I think that is the takeaway from 50 Shades. If anything, the only thing that was accurate for me is the fact that some subs have a hard time disconnecting when the relationship is over, and it can become a very unhealthy situation quickly. But what I liked about that situation was that no one was able to talk her off the ledge except him. And that goes to show a dominant that has gotten to know the ins and outs of his submissive. He can talk her off the ledge. I haven't been in a very healthy dynamic since my first dom, but he can talk me off a ledge. And that's what I look for. If I isolate from the world, I know that he can pull me back in, which is very much the same way that my father was able to do me. I could run from everybody and hide and run and, just run. And my dad would always come and find me. He knew where to get me. And so that's the kind of dom that I require. Like, whether it's over or not, like, that's it.
I do have a question about that, because you've spoken very highly of this gentleman, and I'm no judgment on my side, but I'm curious, as far as you guys' relationship, and you said he's married now. Not to deal too much in your information, but does his wife have an issue with you guys being as close as you are? Because most women I know have the toxic femininity, and they'd be like, you gonna call her, and you gonna go run as soon as she call? Like, is there any dynamic like that? Like, do you guys have any issues?
Not at all. I love her. And when I was sick, my best friend took care of me for a couple of weeks, and then she came and took care of me for a few days.
Oh, wow.
And she reported back to him to tell him how I was. So she stayed with me. And, again, that's the healthy part of this situation. And, I would never disrespect their relationship. I love her. I want to be as supportive as I can. I went to their wedding. I spoke. I did like a toast, and I just love her like she was my sister. And, I'm sure she's watching too. Love you. And that's it. Like, I just believe in healthy. And if it ain't healthy, I don't want it. And so when he met her, I wanted to meet her, and I took her to dinner so I could get to know her.
All right.
So were you the low key vet? Like, were you the vetter? Were you the gave the green light?
I reported right back to him. I was like, I was texting him. I was like, I freaking love her. If you don't marry her, I will, because I love her and she's amazing. And I just really appreciated that she was there for me in a time that I couldn't be there for myself.
Okay.
Just quickly looking at the comments, Tracy Timo said, "I love your knowledge, cousin." And hi Ty, you're here, girl. Yes. And Graham said, "A DS relationship equals Nintendo addiction, please." And then also Ty said, "I am certainly that female because y'all too close, but I'm making baby steps." And I think that everybody has their limit in any form of relationship with the closeness or kinship with you and another person that is not your blood. Absolutely. I think that everybody has some type of, I don't want to say insecurity, but definitely some guard when it comes to that. Like, I'm the type of person where if y'all been friends since whenever, before me and you have even met, who am I to come in this relationship and now and be like, why is she calling you at 2:00 in the morning? Why is she like, I obviously can be like, okay, you're in a relationship now. Maybe we can tweak just tiny little things. But at the same time, that's like you asking me and a friend of mine that I've known, I'm going to automatically go, that's literally a friend. Like, I wouldn't touch this person with a 10-foot pole if you knew the disgusting things that this person is. Like, I would never. But to you, you can be like, that's a man that's around my woman. I don't like it. Like, and I
Right.
totally, and I get it. You know, I always say I never get jealous. I'm territorial. Don't
Mhm.
touch what's mine. Unless you want to
Mhm.
see, unless you want to see the grave and Jesus a little earlier, then you need to.
And I would
Yeah.
always call her first. Like, I never call him first. Like I would always, because now it's gotten to be where she's a part of my life. And so, I'll text
Mhm.
her, I'll call her. If something's going on with them, she'll come and tell me. And, I'm a neutral party because I love both of them. So I get that, maybe in the beginning there was some hesitancy, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
told her, I am not your competition. I do not want this
Mhm.
man. Like, I don't want this man. But I want to know who he loves, because if he loves you, I love you, and, I had to heal parts of me. And that is part of being, you know, on a healing journey, is, not really thinking that I am not good enough, and, working through my own insecurities. And that
Mhm.
has been, being a submissive has definitely helped with that. When I had breast cancer surgery, I lost my breast, and then I had, before reconstruction happened, had it not been for submission, I wouldn't have been able to look at myself in the mirror. I had all the
Mhm.
mirrors covered in the house. And
Mhm.
it was because I was made to look at myself, is when I started to really love myself after
Mhm.
reconstruction. So,
Mhm.
I can understand the hesitancy when her and I, and even the person that in the chat that said that, I can totally get it. I don't come off as intimidating, I don't think. And so I think that played a part, that I wanted to get to know her. And I will always call her first before I reach out to her man. I'm gonna call her.
Good job. Good job. I'm sure a lot of women out there are going to respect that. Checking the comments, Lily and Desu. I really love that you have been able to cultivate these kinds of relationships. It requires maturity, and it makes me glad to hear that adults out there manage it. So that's, yeah, people definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Going back to the conversation about couples that you train, so we've kind of danced around it for a little bit, but I might as well pull the shot on this one. So poly versus monogamous relationships. Um, are you? I don't know. I don't know if you identified yourself earlier, and I don't know if you mind me asking, but are you polyamorous? Are you monogamous? Or
I am highly, very, extremely monogamous.
okay.
I wouldn't even vet a dom if he was poly.
Hmm.
Um, I am the only woman you are going to need in my head. Um, Period. Everything that you need, I'm going to be that. So I don't think there's any room for anybody else. Why would you want her? Why her? Why? I can't take it. And the type of submissive that I am, I require exclusiveness. Like I just can't. Thinking about somebody else kneeling for you makes me very uncomfortable. I hate it. I
Okay.
hate
All right.
it.
I'll
Yeah.
say that in a little, not to get my whole business out there, I'll say that I do have a old dom that I am trying to detach from fully as much as I possibly can, just to be able to move forward. And like literally we recently just had a conversation. It was just like, you can't though, right? Like it's like we like Velcro, bro. We're like Velcro. And I'm like, no, we cannot be like Velcro. Like we have to be tired Velcro. Like we've done had the same Skechers for about 15 years and then lost the stickiness to it. Like
Yeah.
it's gotta
The
go.
grip
It's
is
gotta
gone.
go.
Okay.
The grip
Y'all
is
got length
gone.
hair
It's
and everything else.
over.
Nah, just let it go.
Yes.
Let it go.
You know what I'm saying?
Let it go.
So and then when talking about monogamous and monogamous relationships and stuff, do you think that, and I know that there are some people who probably do it, because I mean, there's people who are in full-fledged marriages or like in relationships and they go to dungeons to
Mhm,
get their excitement out of the way, and
mhm.
it for them it does nothing in their marriage. It's just like, okay, we're okay. I'm gonna be late to work. And the next thing you know, they're getting like spanked and stuff down in a dungeon somewhere. So do you think that, and but that's secretive and that's not being honest and truthful about like what excites you and what does it for you? So do you think
Mhm.
that a person is able to have a monogamous relationship while also being in some form of a DS um dynamic with another person? Because to me, I guess I would see it just like how those people do it. Like they have their relationship, but then they have their doms, their mistresses, whoever they see in whatever dark alley of a secret club behind the cooler, and and they handle their business. So like, is that possible, or are DS relationships mainly, because I know some dominants or submissive can have, well, more so dominants have multiple submissives if they can handle it. Is there something that should be monogamous, or is that something that could definitely be handled with both of them?
Think that it is a preference. Like it is I'm sure it can be done and it is being done. I don't negate poly dynamics. I was poly at some point and I realized that that was not for me. Like it's not for me. I don't negate it though, because I think that it can be on so many levels beneficial. One thing that I always like to say is that I I struggle with the whole nobody belongs to us thing because, you know, I do believe that nobody belongs to us, but I am the type of submissive that I need to belong to you. And I'm going to stress your ass out. I'm going to stress you out. I need you to pick my clothes out for me. I need you to order my food when I'm not eating. I need you to manage my life. How the hell you do that? And two other
Can be managed with
submissive.
somebody
Yeah.
else.
I'm gonna stress
Right.
your ass out. I'm gonna stress you
Mhm.
out. I'm gonna love you
Mhm.
up and I'm gonna stress you out. Like I
What
need
you
you.
saying is she enough of a problem by herself. You don't need no
I
more
am.
partners.
I
You
don't
need
Yeah.
need
nothing
any. I
else.
don't need a sister wife. I love the idea of sister wives, though. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I love it. It makes me happy to even think about sister wives because I am open minded about that. I love it. I love some of the pressure being alleviated off of me, but
Mhm.
at
Bam, Tay,
40
get rich. Let's
at
go.
43 years old, like, you know, I've journeyed my whole life and I'm 43. I need I need to have exclusivity. I don't want to
Mhm.
I can't do it anymore. I can't do
Mhm.
that anymore. But I can see how couples can have a home relationship and then their play relationship with other people. You
Mhm.
don't need that with me though. You don't need that,
I
however.
think the thing with having multiple different people is that, like, I feel like every woman in talking about, you know, just your hetero diversity and everything, every woman needs their own queendom, you know, just like every king needs his own kingdom, you
Yep.
know. So, and that's why I feel like poly relationships, they may work for the great deal that they do, but because you have to have your own space, and even if you have your own house, you know, because there are those who have their literal own houses and it's just
Mhm.
one person bopping around. And I hate to reference, you know, TV and everything, but I can see the stress of, like, you know, the show Sister Wives in itself, and seeing them on the TV for past, I think they're like 10 years now,
Mhm.
like we've
Yeah.
seen some of their kids, like, yeah, grow up from like being like starting off 10 and now their kids are like 23, 24, you know. And it's one of those things where you're starting to see the longevity of them being married and the stress that it's coming with. And it obviously it could be just off of their main person, because Corey is
Mhm.
kind of a hole.
Definitely.
But you're starting to see the stress that
Praise
it
checked out.
upholds of it, you know. So it's just like, it's just one of those things where I'm kind of like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I understand and I get it, and I'm definitely respectful to it. But I
Mhm.
think it's one of those where I think of it like I definitely could be the stem and have many branches just off of what I need personally. But then I'm like, but I kind of like all my branches being on one tree.
Yep. I get
You
it. I get it.
You get that reference, Trey. Bro, that was smooth. Come on. I'm a
I'm letting
smooth
you have it.
operator.
I'm letting you have it. Leave it alone.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate it.
so kind of backtracking once again, we mentioned 50 Shades of Grey. And a lot of people hate that movie. A lot of people love the movie. A lot of people love the book, whatever have you. But I did have a question for you. Do you think that, and this is a question to everybody, honestly, and even you guys in the chat, are there any good media representations of a Dom sub relationship out there on TV that you know of?
I
What
don't
was that
watch TV.
movie?
I don't watch
The
TV.
Secretary? Was it The Secretary or something like that? Where it was like it was a better depiction of, and I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a better depiction of a dom sub relationship to me. Um, you know, simply because of like with 50 Shades of Grey, I felt like it was like really, really romanticized.
Mhm.
And with The Secretary, it wasn't like that. And I'm trying to remember the entire movie because it's been a long, long time since I've seen it. but he was controlling pretty much every aspect of her life, and this was his secretary, like somebody that he
I
worked with.
remember. I
You know
remember
what I'm talking about?
exactly what you're
Okay, okay,
talking about.
okay.
Yes, yes, I
Yes.
remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he controlled like every aspect of her relationship, from like the things that she ate to how she walked and talked and dressed and everything. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was a better depiction of what a dom sub relationship was versus the watered down version that was represented in 50 Shades of Grey. So if
I
you guys
think.
want, what were you saying?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was just gonna say, I think you guys, if you wanted to see a more realistic version, something that was a depiction that was, coming from Hollywood, then that would be the movie to watch.
Okay.
I was gonna say that I think that any media that shows a DS form of a relationship is always gonna show the dominant being an aggressive male. Like it's always going to show that, like, he's
Yep.
an aggressive male, and the woman's like, "Oh, please, sir." Like it's always gonna be that. Like, you know
It's
what I'm
always
saying?
more of the
And
hard dom perspective
the hard
versus
dom,
any
yeah,
other type of
exactly.
dom.
Instead
Yeah.
of like the soft dom, the one that, like,
The
it's
pleasure
never like
dom.
the pleasure dom. It's never like just an equal amount of just just showing what it is that the relationship could possibly be. I mean, no one walks around. I was about to say no one walks around hard all day. That was going to be a very wrong sentence, but
God.
no. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody walks around
Look at
like
your face.
ready to like just like go sit down, drink your water. Did you eat today? Like, I don't. That's not like,
That's what
you
you
know
mean.
what I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right.
Yeah, like I don't think that like no one like it's and nobody's just like meek, like, oh, okay, like no one, like that's not all day, bro.
It's
Like that's not
not.
even
It's
like
not.
that's not even really a relationship. Like,
Right.
there's gonna be times where you're like cuddled up and you're soft and cuddly on the couch, or you're just
Right.
walking over and poking them just to bother them, just to do it. And then there's times where I'm just gonna be a brat and be like, no, you do it, and then you choke me against the wall, and I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me the attention I was requiring. I don't know why he was acting slow all day, but it's just some of those things. So I don't think that it gives a great representation, or there is something that has a so-called almost close representation, just because they always over exaggerate each
Absolutely.
party.
But that's what they have to do, because it's Hollywood. Like, you have to oversell everything. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to, if they were just to like look at the dynamics of dom sub relationships or BDSM in general, they have to glamorize it. So it's not like, it's not going to be the standard. It's not going to be, what the actual reality of it is, unless you end up with a reality TV show, and even those are glamorized too. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, for Hollywood, they have to make sure it sells, and that's why everything is romanticized, or everything is like blown way, way, way out of proportion. So.
At the comments really quick. Ty said, "Oh wow, not 43. Don't accept it no more like 28." And then she also said, "Not me wondering what these alleys might be, but let me see." And then she said, "No doubt, I do low key love and support the concept of sister wives." Genocide Circus said the book was trash. I'm gonna guess he's talking about 50 Shades of Grey. Jamaica said Secretary was a great movie, calling her how many peas and calling her for how many peas she had for dinner. Yes, I remember that scene. I definitely do remember that scene. And Jamaica said, I love that. What?
He made her count her peas?
He counted how many peas that she had on her plate. I think that she was not eating, or something. It was something in that count where he said, like, I gave you this many and I see only this was 8, or it was something in that concept. Watch the movie. You'll definitely understand it. And like,
I'm gonna watch the movie, because
watch the movie.
I'm writing that one down. That's a good one. That's next level shit.
And then Graham said, not that I can think of. They almost always show the dom being low key abusive, literally. And the subs be borderline naive / stupid. And Ty said, no movies or TV shows I can think of, but I've read some books. That's what kicked open the door of curiosity. And I think Zane had a little bit something to do with that. If you are in our generation, I will say Zane.
Perspective?
Huh?
Did Zane? Because I remember reading all the Zane books, and I don't know.
Well, I'm saying in the dynamics of like what Ty was talking about, Ty was talking about when it came to reading some books, and that opened up her door of curiosity. And like, when I was younger, like, I don't know how I got my hands on a Zane book. I think somebody from high school gave it. I don't. Yeah, like, pretty much. And I was just in it. This one, I don't even know where it's somewhere. I literally have it close by, but I can't grab it right now.
Lillian Lucy
It's
said she had an eating disorder.
oh, in the movie.
Okay. In the movie, yeah, I knew it was. I knew it was something. I couldn't remember exactly.
I can't remember. But
Yes,
the
Jamaica,
one,
we can talk about it in aftercare.
yeah, but the Zane book that I have is a collective of stories. It's like a whole. It's like
The Sex
basically a
Chronicles.
compilation. Yeah, it's like a compilation of like different stories and stuff. So I think my favorite one is the airplane one because I was like, "Ooh, my High Club, that's so crazy." And then I thought about it as I got older. I never used the toilet like a bathroom on the airplane until I got older, and I was like, baby, no.
No.
Oh no. Like she made it look so cute and romantic in that book. But not in real life, okay? But it like Ty said, I think when reading certain things, it definitely opens your eyes up more than looking at orange YouTube for me. Because reading, you have to literally put yourself in that position. You have to imagine yourself in it. You
Yeah.
get so immersed in the story and the wordplay and everything that comes with it that you get yourself excited because you're like, oh, I never thought about that. But then when you're watching like a stupid behind skit or whatever, and you're just like, let me skip to 2 minutes and 43 seconds because y'all
Hey,
over here acting like, can we skip to the good part,
yeah.
please? Can I just see some claps, some cheeks getting clapped? I'm tired of this. It's one of those things. But I like the fact of like putting yourself because. Like, for example, with 50 Shades of Grey, I read the 3 books in like 2 weeks. That's the fastest I ever read anything in my whole entire life. But
I read it in like 2 days.
granted, it was kind of corny, but it was like, you know what? This is really interesting. To the point that I skipped the point that she said that this was a white man. In my head, Christian Grey was black the whole time. Whole time. Yeah. But like it skipped my brain that he was white. Like I was like, oh, because I think at one point he said he has cool gray eyes. Gray eyes to me resonate black people because I've seen mostly black people with like cool gray eyes. Like I have a cousin who has cool gray eyes. So it's like one of those things where I was just like, oh, and then I was like, wait, he's white. They kind of messed it up for me personally because I like the mocha. I like the Mocha Men, but I still read it and it was still good, But that's how good the writing was that I immersed myself into. Look at this black man with this nice fade with the Caesar waves with these cool gray eyes, man. This is crazy.
Oh, you really used your imagination.
Yes.
That wouldn't have been at all.
I mean, you have to. Go ahead,
you have to use your imagination when you're reading because you have to put yourself into the story, like, or just to try to imagine the scene in general. But you done created a whole nother character.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Okay. So I asked that question for a reason because I've never really seen a demonstration on how to acquire a sub. I've never really seen that. I've never seen it depicted. I haven't read it. It's always usually I fell to my knees at his feet and he accepted some bullshit like that. But I'm pretty confident that in real life it doesn't go like that. It doesn't there's more communication, there's more interaction, communication, all that shit. There's more of that and vetting, like you said earlier. Good job. So I'm curious, how would a dom acquire you? How would they earn you? Earn your
That's such a great way to put it. That's exactly a great way to put it. I think for in general, when I first met my very first dom, it was happenstance. Like it really just I was coming out of
so you did fall his knees. I'm just playing.
Kind of like, well, I didn't even know that he was a dominant though. I didn't know. And he introduced himself to me at a work event. And he said that he was watching me the whole event. And, he just kind of shot his shot. And I was like, okay, cool. And as we talked, he was like, kind of picking up on you being a little submissive. And I was like, absolutely. I mean, from a little girl, I went to etiquette classes and, that's the energy that he probably witnessed and kind of was attracted to. So I think that sometimes you stumble upon somebody, like literally stumble upon them. We didn't even discuss, BDSM until, like maybe 2 months later, like in detail. For me now at this stage, to get my attention, I really would appreciate someone getting to know me, like, just being confident and, being very forward, like, hey, what would it take for you to consider me? And I will let you know. Like, I will be very explicitly clear. I am looking to be married. Period.
Okay.
Like, that will be always a deal breaker for me if that is not something that the person is interested in. I am not interested in it tomorrow or the next day or the next day, but I'm interested in it long term.
Okay.
Right.
So, I think that it just date me and talk to me. Consistency. I tell people all the time, you cannot have me if you are not consistent, because I am going to hold you to task. I'm going to make you be consistent with me, because consistency for me is respectful. And respect is number one for me. And so I'm going to be consistent. I believe in chivalry. And, I believe in reciprocity. So everything that I require, I can reciprocate. And I
That's the
will, and you
word.
will
That
feel
is
it.
that
So,
word right there. Boy.
I'm not going to just require you to be consistent with me. I am going to be consistent with you. I want to learn you. I want to make you my full-time job. And so everything that you don't speak, I am already picking up on it. The things that you don't talk about, I'm picking up on it. Because my job, I endeavor to learn you. I want to learn you. I want to anticipate what you need. And in order to do that, I need to be consistent with you, and you need to be consistent with me. So I think that's important. Just consistency for me.
Yeah. Quickly looking at the comments, Graham said, "Blew my mind finding out that Zayn was a woman." How?
Really?
Okay, and
I
yeah,
heard that.
I would have took that from a woman standpoint
Yeah, I
any
took her
day.
as a woman from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamaica said no, she didn't. And then Graham said my only Zayn reference was Billy Zane from The Phantom,
Lord.
and Zayn used to have a show called The Zane Chronicles. She did on HBO. And Ty says
Worst
seems like
softcore
it's
porn ever.
Was
yeah.
it? Was
And
it
then
HBO or Showtime?
I think
I
it was
thought it was
Showtime. Yeah,
Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah.
Softcore.
Yeah.
It was softcore.
It was.
And it definitely was. And then Ty says, seems like it's time for a Kinkazoid movie then, because I like learning. Okay. And then Amber says, I feel that. Okay. All right then. Speaking of I know we talk about in references of like media and kinks and everything like that and the representation of it. What about social media and kinks? Because that's that's anybody and everybody can put whatever they want out there and put it out there for the taking, and people can either really put out there the good things of it all, or unfortunately put out the worst stereotypes that comes with different forms of fetishes or kinks or anything. Like, for example, like when we talked about this before we got on air, there's a viral video, I think it has like over 1 million likes, over 1 million likes, not even views, just over 1 million likes, of two women who were on leashes in the street barking at each other, giving some mock version of animal play or pet play. And I made a video and I was like, this is what makes it hard for people to come out and say, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy, to their partner who might be vanilla or just not know that this is like a thing that people do. Because there's a lot of kinks and fetishes that people don't even know are really kinks, and they're into it. They just don't know how to name it. And this makes them feel scared because you have people who are putting themselves out there, making themselves look like a fool on the internet. So I guess it's like, how do you differentiate between like, okay, this is social media and this is people being idiots, to okay, this is what people really get into? Like, that's weird. Like, that's for anybody. Like, when you guys see certain kinks on social media, does it kind of like disgust you that they're showing it, or is it like, oh, you kind of just ruined a chance to educate people on something like we could be into?
I do think that a lot of our life is portrayed in such a ridiculous light. Like, even taking TikTok for instance, I see the dramatics in so many parts of DS, and sometimes I am so off put by it. I'm so off put by the dramatics of what primal looks like, or what doms look like. I'm just, when it becomes acting, it's like porn to me, and I'm not a fan of porn unless I'm making my own. I just feel like it's boring for me, and I just don't really, I'm not into it. But then there are legitimate areas where you on social media that I've seen where people are into pet play, and they're into the furry community, and they're, that's how I learned about, me being a kitty, is through like a reputable social media site. Like I went to um an event that was sponsored by Onyx, which is like a leather community that is, they're BDSM and leather, and there are different Onyx locations throughout the world. And I was invited to an event, and someone was like, they were a kitty, but it wasn't like a lick out of the bowl kitty. Again, you determine how far you're going to take anything. You determine what it looks like for you. And I was like, oh God, this is so me. Like I love the fact that the personality trait very much matches my own submission. So it ain't nothing to put on a collar and lick around and be at somebody's feet, because I'm gonna do that anyway, So it was I think there are some legitimate areas. I have followed the hashtag Kink Talk on TikTok, and I'm just like, what the hell some of y'all doing out here? Like y'all are really, y'all are blowing it. Y'all blowing it. But then it takes people like us to actually use the hashtag and show legitimate kink education. And then, we're changing the narrative, because, people are seeing us doing the work, and it is work, because it takes a lot to bare your soul. I tell people all the time, like I'm still working through that, like baring my soul and saying this is who I am, because there are those other women that would be like, girl, why would you do that? Like why would you want to kneel for some dude? Come on now, girl. Like you could do better than that, and I have to
either which way, when when you're pleasing, that's what you're doing, regardless of the fact. Regardless of the fact of when you're pleasing or not. I mean, like you said, there's the kneeling, and then there's, for those who have no knees, there's a chair, and I use the chair. That is my pleasing stature. But I'm still, in sense, like being submitted to your member. I'm still here with you. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, it doesn't make sense for you to judge and be like, I would never kneel for no man. Okay, because what was you doing with Roger the other week, though?
What were you
doing?
I'll
hold you up in the air.
like, why y'all being weird to me? Like, why y'all being weird to me? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
this is, I consider myself an offering. I am an offering, and I'm the altar. Like, I am allowing this Dom to worship me. What am I getting out of the deal? Being taken care of. I am getting out of the deal consistency. I'm getting out of the deal, romance and love and care. And, sometimes I'm terrible. No, let me stop lying. All the time I'm terrible at self-care. So, having a Dom that actually, ensures that I am self-caring is a blessing to me. It is a blessing to me. And in exchange for that, I belong to him. I am servicing him because he is taking care of me. So I just, I think social media, we can take it with a grain of salt, but there are some legitimate content creators that are, I would say, if you're on TikTok, follow Kink Education. That's a great hashtag, because everybody using it, they are really legitimately educating you. I have followed that hashtag, and I have seen very positive things. Like they're legitimately talking and to the different dynamics in this community and what it looks like. So kink education, as of course, look at Kink Talk, because it's entertaining, but kink education, that hashtag will bring you people like me that are talking to you and exhibiting what kneeling looks like, talking to you about the emotional and mental component that we need to address in the community, because every event I've ever had, I've always had a kink affirming therapist on, so that we can talk about, what sub dropping feels like. Because for me, sub dropping feels like death. I feel like I'm dying. Like, when I sub drop, I feel horrific. Some people, it is not like that, but for me, it's horrible, and I really have a hard time with it. So we talk about that, and from a mental aspect, we talk about it. So kink education will give you a really good picture of what people doing the work.
Okay.
I know with some of the hashtags, because it is TikTok, it's not actually spelled like kink or kink community. It's K exclamation point. And then
or
insane.
number one.
Or number one, because they can't write like kink at all, because it's obviously it's a sexual innuendo, whatever. Like, people don't say sex, they say segs or eggs, or
Yeah.
something like that, just to be able to get
Drop some
that
in the
out
Discord.
there. Yeah, but thank you for that. I understand when it comes to like displaying and showing different kinks, like what that can look like for some people. I mean, we did an episode, I don't even know what episode it was, but definitely was last year, when we talked about furries and, like, you know, their meeting place and what they like to do and stuff. And that was the first time I have heard of furries in like the actual serious tone. I've seen it before and been like, mascot, all right, like if that's what you like to do. But like to actually see it, and you know, like I've seen people do like pony play. That I did a deep dive into pony play. Like, I was like, all right, y'all got horse butt plugs and y'all got leather. It was like, it's like a leather thing too, because you're wearing leather, you're wearing straps and stuff. You're
And
galloping. They do shows and stuff, and I'm like, that's very interesting. Not my cup of tea, but a very interesting. Oh, bro, baby, we can't hear you.
you muted.
You're muted. Oh, bro.
Now,
Yeah,
okay, hear you at all.
but I'll say that just because you don't get it doesn't mean it's something you should shame. Like, you know, like I'm not into any bootay play, but if you
You
want to
tell
do
us
it,
every week. You tell
I
us
know. But I'm
every
just
week.
saying, if you want to do it, because you know why, people still play with me. People still playing with me when it comes to it.
Sir,
Okay.
whoever you, sir, whoever you are out there, please leave her booty hole alone.
Please.
And you know what's crazy? And you know
Don't
what's
play with
crazy?
it.
It's not even who I'm with. That's the craziest part. It's people randomly leaving comments, but you don't like butt play though. Cookies, like what are you doing? Like, why do you have to act to me? You know, and I think it's just because I make it such a forceful, funny thing that I don't do it. It's like, well, maybe you just a person, and maybe, and I think that's another thing that we have to advocate for ourselves, and we have to put it out there. When a person says this is something I do not like, regardless of who should come forth and give me or show me the best way to do it,
Yep.
it's just something I'm not into, and it's
That's it.
okay to not be into. Nope. Nope, you still lip reading. We're still lip reading here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I
Abducer,
apologize.
help your,
Abducer, help your
what
mate,
we call
please.
her. He's the
Please help your
abducer.
mate.
She's the wife
Yeah.
star, I guess.
Yes, the main attraction. Yes.
So one of the questions you had on here, Shay, is how do you tell what's real and how do you tell what's fake?
Yes. So that's because it's one of those things, like, you know, we're watching. If I was ignorant to the BDSM life or kinks, fetishes in itself, if I was ignorant to it,
Mhm.
how would if I saw that video or I saw these DS pranks that they do all the time when the submissive is like, no, and then the dominant's like, oh, I gotta run out of the house after you to let you know you did a bad thing. You know, it's like I can look at that and kind of go, on a regular day, he's just gonna be like, I'll catch you later, bro. All right, like I'm like, you know, like you'll learn your lesson later on. I'm not gonna chase after you. I'm not gonna do that right now.
Because
You
I'm
know,
going to fucking keep count.
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, or like it's just like, or it's one of those things where it's just like, I can keep playing with fire if you would like to. I mean, that's just up to you. But I personally don't know anybody who's like, oh, I gotta run after you. I gotta
No,
get you. Like, you know.
you
So
have
it's
to
like,
go to sleep at some point, and I may not
yes,
let you. Like,
exactly. So if I have to, if I'm ignorant to it and I'm watching this, I'm like, so that's what they do. Like that's like, you know, they automatically get upset. They automatically, you know, just like Graham said earlier, or I think it was Genocide Circus said earlier, they make it seem so controlling and abusive almost in some form. So if a person who, like Ty, for example, she joined, you know, our Discord, and since we've started the show, like she said, she's just been opening her eye more and more and more to these things, and talking to her partner about what she really likes. And this is the reason why we started this podcast, for people like that, you know, to open up their eyes to more things. If I looked at that and I'm like, oh, I don't even want to be near that. Like, you know, how do you know what's real and fake, or what's being on for show? And then also, if you wanted to dive deeper into it because you might not have a greater understanding, what's the first steps?
Yep. So for me, I think that I'm always, you know, I call myself a private eye.
okay.
I like to research. I research everything, everybody. that even if I am, like, let's say a dominant it wants my attention, I'm going to research everything about him. I'm not just going to stop at one video that I've seen him play around with a clicker, or I've seen him go out into the
Feel
woods
attacked.
and
Yeah,
say,
yeah, you were
I'm gonna
attacked. You were
hunt
personally
you.
Feel
attacked.
attacked.
Yeah, like
You were
I'm
personally attacked.
no, but really no, I'm gonna hunt you. Like, I'm gonna look at every single thing that you do, and I'm going to see what feels right to me. Like, we also have to understand that part of being a great submissive, and part of being a great dom or a switch or a little, is trusting yourself. You have got to do that. You can't come up in here not trusting you. Your discernment is going to set the tone for every single thing and every experience that you have here. And so, time out for not trusting you. Like, this is about self-power and being able to trust your own judgment. So if it don't feel right, damn it, it ain't right. And it don't
Yeah.
take a whole bunch of anything to figure it out. If I'm watching something and I'm like, if it don't feel right, it's not right. And I'm going to trust
Yeah.
myself, because this community, we talk about the great parts of it, but
Can y'all
the
hear me?
parts that are not so great, I
We
think
can
we
hear
have
you.
to take responsibility for it.
Uh-huh.
Like, we need to take responsibility too for our experiences. And part of it begins with trusting your own judgment. Like, if you see something and it don't look right, y'all, and it don't feel right, or you're with a person and you notice that that person is extremely unbalanced, like, that's one thing. Like, how can you control me and you can't control yourself? Like, that's a problem for me. Like, if every video you post or every time you talk you're angry, I am not going to consider you as someone that I would want to service. I don't want you. My goal is not, I am not a brat, so I don't want to challenge you. I want to give you everything that you need, everything that you want. I'm going to do
Showing the
whatever I
dark side.
can to make you happy. So I'm not moved by challenging you. I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel natural for me. I feel natural to be able to know what you like, and you can't punish me more than I can punish myself. If I do not feel like I am doing my job, I'm punishing myself for that. So,
Yeah.
I take this life so personal, and I take being submissive so personally, that you don't have to give me a punishment, because I'm already punishing me for not getting it right. That's how my submission looks. My submission looks like that. But if it doesn't feel right, it is not right. And I think that we have to start trusting ourselves, like really getting to know a person. I understand you can get wrapped up in words and visuals, but you really trusting yourself enough to be patient and wait for what is rightfully yours, instead of just jumping on the first, person that spits game. Like, this is, you want to protect yourself. That's the first thing. And I think, just if it don't feel right, y'all, it ain't right.
Right.
I know that you said, you're not a brat or anything, but like, you can always cross over to the dark side if you like. Like,
Don't do it.
it's
Don't do it.
so
Do not listen.
me and Royal like wake up in the morning like, oh, how can I make a
Pay no
temple in
attention
some's
to
forehead
the brats in the
today?
front.
Like, how can
Pay
I make
no
someone's
attention
blood
to
pressure
the brats in the
rise
front.
today? Like,
They
how
will
can
get
I make a
you
person's
in so much trouble.
no? Like, how
Listen,
can
it's a
I make somebody's
platform
body
about
shake
fiction every
out of
single
anger?
day. Every single day.
Yes.
I can
It's
understand brat energy, though. I understand it, and I love to see it, but I can't. It's just not me. I just know me, and I know that, I don't want to challenge you. I don't want to hear no. Let me just be clear. I hate that word. I hate the word no. So I'm going to be a good girl so that I don't hear no. I always want to hear yes.
Listen,
but this is the thing. That's how
it'll get there for me. But the thing is that I'm going to make you earn it. You're gonna earn this good girl. That's the whole thing.
Yes. And the thing about it is that, like, for me personally, that's how I knew into learning what, like, being a submissive, like, that was just like, oh, everybody's just
There's
like
another
submissive.
one.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? But no, like, there's, like you said, like, your kiddie play and everything, like, we're brats, and like there's different things. And I knew, I was like, brat is me, because it's like, I'll submit to you, but I'll nuck if I buck. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like, don't,
understand.
like, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. And I thought it was one of those things of like, if I have a contract with someone, I have to like, don't play with me with this one, don't play with me with that one. I realized like, oh no, like I like being submissive. I just kind of like, don't play with me. That's period.
Right.
There's just,
Like,
don't play with
one of
me.
these, I will get there eventually. You know what I mean? Like, you will get the good girl out of me. You'll get the submissive part.
Yeah.
You have to show me what I am submitting to. You understand? Like,
Yes.
you have to, you know what I'm saying? It's just for, give me something to submit to. Pretty much it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And
I understand it. I get
Yeah.
it. And that's why I always ask people, in my vetting, why you? Because I'm going to naturally be me. So I need to know why you. Why are you deserving? We're already having that conversation. Why you? And I already understand that you're worthy. Coming into this situation, I'm not going to choose you if you were not worthy. And so I would hope that, and again, the brat energy is sexy. And I understand it. I do get it. One of the people that I coach is a brat, and I understand it. I get it. I think it is so sexy, and it's just not me. Like for me, I thrive in the yes, and I thrive in the let me earn it, daddy. So that's how I thrive.
As you can see, Trey hates the fact that we're brats. Like, literally despises it. Like, he hates it. He so much. Like, he despises it. But here's the thing. To finish off today's show, I guess going into vanilla and kink. It's like it's like a marble cake. That it goes good together, but it don't mix all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I guess like being a person who is into this kink, you have your standards, you have everything set up for everyone. Could you possibly ever, like, Royal, you're already taken off the market, but but we've had this conversation. We definitely have had this conversation. We definitely had this conversation. I already know her answer. We definitely did. I know her answer. She was like, if me and Habdusa ever just goes, that's still mine though. Like, and that's on period. That's on period.
But I'm just saying, like, I could never be in a vanilla relationship. Like, I could never do vanilla again. Just being in the type of relationship that I am, us having the dynamic that we have, if it was not to work out, I couldn't. I
couldn't let go of it.
No.
Yeah. So could you possibly be in a form of a relationship where that person, and obviously I'm going to just assume, correct me if I'm wrong, Samantha, I'm going to just go and assume, no. If you're not like that and you're not about that, then you can be over there with that. Like, but personally for me, I can be with a person who like now, like, who's vanilla, but also I let them know, hey, this is what I like. This is what I want. This is what gets me here. This is what gets me there. And I love when they can take it, hear it, and then use it sporadically. It's not like they're just like, dropping it all on me. And I'm like, no, use it when, like, so I got my ear pulled like the other day. I was like, okay, we're paying attention. We're paying attention. So could you possibly be with someone who's learning about being a dom, or maybe getting into dom, or do you need someone, I said the bottle lip poke. Okay. You need someone who's already in it. Okay.
I have been in vanilla-ish situations. It makes them very uncomfortable that I am a submissive, and I can't have that conversation over and over again because they don't feel like they can please me, that I'm always going to want someone else, and it makes me feel uncomfortable to be with someone that's uncomfortable. So for this part of my life, I am definitely requiring my next partner to be a dom for sure. I'm more into daddy doms than I am, and pleasure doms, but you definitely have to, switch energy. I can't,
Yeah.
I can't do it, but that's what I'm into, and it has to happen because I do not want to make someone that I'm with uncomfortable. Right. And I don't want them to feel like they have to pretend, because then I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, because it's almost a constant, I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's almost a constant need for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that I need on a recurring basis. I can't just do it sporadically. Like, if you potentially could get with a person who is mostly vanilla and they are open to, doing things this way, or, maybe they realize that they had a dominant side and they wanted to explore it more with you, that would probably be the only way that I could get into a relationship with a vanilla person at this point. But for me now, it is almost a constant thing. Like I need that check. You know what I mean? Like I
Absolutely.
need that domination in my life, because if I don't have it, I feel like I'm all over the place. And I think
Absolutely.
the reason why I needed it so much, and it's funny because Habdusa and I didn't even start this way. Like we were always vanilla initially. And I want to say maybe about, what is this, 2022? Maybe about like 7 or 8 years ago. We figured out that this was something that we wanted to pursue, and it was something that I needed, because he like completely took over in my life, because I was always in charge, and it was like I needed to take that step back.
Say it with your chest, nigga. Say it with your chest. Come on, come on the mic.
I did initially.
Brother.
I initially did. Like, okay, so for y'all who could not hear him, initially I lost a bet. And he was saying, because this was something that he wanted to do anyway. And he was saying that if you lose this bet, then I'm in control, period. And I was like, okay, I could do that. And then he was like, what did he say? Then he added like a caveat and was like, and you got to call me daddy. I'm like, okay. So I did that for a week, right? And after that week, I was like, yeah, you could just have control. I'm good. Don't even worry about it. I don't want it back.
Yeah. So Trey, what about you? Could you possibly be with a person who's not into being a submissive, or not wanting to dive deep into it?
Yeah, absolutely I can, because I'm still on my learning journey. Like I said earlier in the show, I'm not an expert. There's still a lot of things that I'm learning about myself. I know how I feel. I know what I think, but I don't know what I don't know. So I'm willing to learn more, grow more, and if I'm doing that with somebody, I'm perfectly fine with it. So so I'm willing to explore certain things. But as we wrap up the show, I got to ask one question, because we got like literally 60 seconds. What the hell is around your neck? Is that what I think it is?
It's a chest harness. I made it, and it is just, I can't show you the bottom part, but the bottom part has an O-ring where it can be attached to like a leash or a chain or something, as well as the top part.
I like accessories. That shit.
I want one.
Definitely gotta take care of that in the aftercare. Definitely gonna look into that more in the aftercare.
Right.
Yeah. But that concludes our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. We really do appreciate it. Goddess Treasure Box, please give us all your info, all the things that we could follow you on, any links that you might have that people can learn more from you and find out what's going on in your life, and keep up with the good information, because you be putting out some really good TikToks about all the submissive
so
things.
much. Thank you. Yeah, just definitely follow me on TikTok, Goddess Treasure Box, and on Instagram the same. I tag my personal Instagram. That's probably a better way to stay in contact with me, because I post on that every day.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. You guys already know you can follow me. You can follow your girl Chase on TikTok at Chase Inc. CHAYESINC. You can also follow me on Instagram at Candy Taste Sweet, because it's true.
And you can also follow me at Royal Rain, ROY4L R4YNE on TikTok, Twitter, and IG.
It's your boy Trey Proper, literally everywhere. TREYPROPER. Google me.
She's not Google me.
Right.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for a great show, and we will see you in aftercare.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Oh, did she?